As Rotary, we often ask ourselves, how do we grow? Personally, professionally, and organizationally? The answer is simple. To grow Rotary, we need more Rotary clubs. Let's use Anytown as an example. Anytown is a city of 100,000 people and home to one proud Rotary club. But there are hundreds of other people of action, just like us, who are uniquely qualified to become Rotary members. They share the same drive and represent the values and fundamentals of a Rotary member. So why aren't they members? Well, the current club meets on Monday. There are leaders in Anytown who can't meet on a Monday. By excluding this segment, the potential members in Anytown has shrunk. Now consider, what if the meeting is at noon on Monday? There are people who can meet on Monday, but can't meet at noon. So now we have a smaller audience for Rotary in Anytown. Of the remaining group, some aren't interested in a club with a sit-down lunch and speakers. They are passionate about service, but aren't interested in a traditional club experience. And that is okay. The Rotary Club of Anytown isn't doing anything wrong. It just doesn't appeal to particular segments of the community. And if we're going to thrive for years to come, we must adapt and embrace change. In Anytown, we have an opportunity to expand because potential members are everywhere. More than half of the eligible people are prospective Rotary members, waiting to make a bigger impact in their community. But what Rotary Club exists for them? If Anytown creates new clubs at new times and new places, the hidden potential for Rotary will be revealed. As people of action, we must broaden our reach and provide opportunities to all leaders in the community. Together, all of us can grow Rotary.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Virtual Convention Breakout Session, Grow Rotary Through New Club Types. This session is part of the featured breakout program of Rotary's first ever virtual convention. My name is Michelle Latham, and I'm a member of the Rotary staff team. I'll serve as your breakout host for this session. Please note that this session is being recorded. You can protect your identity by limiting your participation if you choose. Because of how many people are on our webinar today, attendees will not have the ability to turn their camera or audio on. The recordings of your session will be posted on riconvention.org about 48 hours after each session. Just a small technical difficulty. Okay, so we want to talk about how you can participate in the session today. If you would like to access interpretation in your language for this session, you can click on the globe in your meetings control, located at the bottom of your desktop or app screen. You'll be able to select your language from there. If you need Italian simultaneous interpretation, you'll need to exit Zoom and re-enter using the Interprify link. Make sure that your My Rotary language is set to Italian, and then navigate to the breakout registration on riconvention.org. If you select interpretation, you will still hear the speaker faintly in the background. To mute the audio of the speaker and hear only the interpretation, click Mute Original Audio at the bottom of the language selection list. You will have the option to use the question and answer feature and the chat pane, which you can see in your meeting controls. As I mentioned, there are a lot of attendees on this breakout today, and we want to manage the flow of comments and questions. Chats and questions are welcome in all languages. Please use the chat, as you can see here, for comments and general discussion. It's the icon with the single word bubble, which you can see circled right here on your screen. If you have a specific question, either for the panelists or about the content that's being presented today, or during our designated question and answer period, you can use the Q&A feature. The icon will have a double word bubble, as you can see right here. We will try to answer as many questions as possible today, but we can't guarantee that all of the questions will be answered. If you need some technical assistance or support during the session, please visit on.rotary.org/breakout-help, and an agent will be able to assist you. This chat is available in all languages. Thank you for your attention, and please enjoy the session, Grow Rotary Through New Club Types.
Welcome everybody to today's breakout session, Growing Rotary Through New Club Types. My name is Jessie Harman. I'm from the Rotary Club of Wendouree Breakfast in Australia. I'm chair of the Rotary International Membership Committee and your moderator for today's session. In today's session, we're going to be focusing on developing new club types. We plan to cover three key areas. Firstly, we're going to explore the new types of clubs that are emerging around the world. Secondly, we're going to talk about the way that clubs are getting started. And then we're going to talk about the factors that underpin their success. And I guess because we can only do so much in 1 hour, we're also going to point you to some valuable resources that you can look at after today's session. We're also going to leave some time to answer questions at the end of the session. Now, joining me today, I have a very international and expert panel. Our first panellist is Oli Gopalakrishnan from the Rotary Club of Madras North in Chennai, India. Oli is a member of the Rotary International Membership Committee. He's a past district governor of District 3230. He's a former district membership chair and assistant Rotary coordinator. And he's passionate about membership and membership development. So welcome, Oli. Our second panellist is Andy Rajapaske from the Rotary Club of Burleigh Heads in Queensland, Australia. Andy's the incoming district governor and he's a champion at attracting young people into Rotary. So much so that Andy's district has the most Rotarians under 40 and has had the largest membership growth for the last 2 years. Andy has served as District Membership Chair and Public Image Chair, and in the last 2 years has created 2 new types of clubs. So welcome, Andy. Our third panellist is Danielle Lallement from the Rotary Club of San Francisco Evening in California. Danielle is District Governor nominee for District 5150, and she was involved in creating the first LGBTQ club in San Francisco. She's a past new club development chair. She's currently her club membership chair, and she's a charter member of her existing club. So welcome, Danielle. So let's start by concentrating or focusing on some of the main reasons why clubs and districts start new types of clubs. And I think there are probably 3 key reasons. Firstly, it's about increasing reach. You know, creating new types of clubs is one way of attracting members who will not or cannot join our clubs in their traditional forms. but who would still like to be part of Rotary. You know, we recognise that the needs and expectations of volunteers are changing, and our clubs need to change to respond to those changing needs. Secondly, it's about providing a more enjoyable membership experience for individuals. We know that as many as 60% of new members will leave their Rotary Club within 3 years of membership. So by better aligning prospective members' needs with the type of club that they join, you know, we are much more likely to increase engagement and to enhance retention. And we think there's a third reason, which is around delivering increased impact. You know, if we create new types of clubs, we will attract a more diverse Rotary membership. You know, and with that diversity comes the opportunity to, I guess, increase the breadth and extent of our impact. I guess it's important to note that creating new types of clubs is absolutely about ensuring Rotary's sustainability. Creating new types of clubs won't weaken our existing clubs. Rather, it will contribute to our strength, you know, by increasing the number and diversity of our membership and the breadth and extent of our impact. And I guess the final point that I'd like to mention is that the time to do this is now. The 2016 Council on Legislation provided us with an incredibly important platform for change. And we're in a better position now than we've ever been to create new types of Rotary clubs to ensure that Rotary stays relevant and responsive. So there's a host of reasons why we should be starting new types of clubs. Now I'm going to turn to the panellists now. And Andy, I'm going to start with you. What prompted you to start new types of clubs?
Jessie, good to see you again. And thank you for the question. And my friends Oli from India and Daniel from US, really good to see you again. You know, answering your question, Jessie, in the last 5 years, I had invited more than 50 friends of mine, prospective members, to my Rotary Club. But only 12 of them joined. It's a good return, but I was not happy. And my Rotary Club is a traditional club, 65 years. As you mentioned, it's Burleigh Heads in the Gold Coast, and we have 45 members. And we always believe that we are the best club in the world. So it bothered me why my friends, you know, who were from my friends from the Chambers of Commerce, and they were from the different networking groups in the Gold Coast, why they did not want to join Rotary in my club. So I went and asked each one of them, why is it that you didn't want to join Rotary? The answer was almost the same. They said, Andy, it was not the experience we were looking for. They said, we did not want to come and listen to a speaker who spoke a topic that we were not connected with. We didn't want to come and sit there, have a meal, pay for it, and get fined for coming for the meeting. They said, we did not want to come and sing the national anthem once a week. They said, we wanted to come and meet newer people, professionals like us, young and enthusiastic with new ideas, and talk a little more business. So I kept focusing to see how I could create another platform that I could engage these people who said no to my Rotary Club to enjoy the experience of Rotary. So I started working on another new format of a club. 2 years ago, I started the Rotary Club of Varsity Lakes, you know, quite an upmarket suburb of Gold Coast. And that was an evening cocktail meeting to network corporates who work in corporate sector. It worked very well. In 7 months, we were able to charter a club. Last year, I started the Gold Coast Passport Rotary Club, which was more focused on attracting the millennials, the under 35s. That worked very well too. In 6 months, we chartered a club. So between these two clubs, we attracted 45 members who otherwise would not join Rotary to join Rotary. And that helped us in my district, 9640 in Australia, to grow. So simply answering your question, what prompted me was it was my openness to listen to the feedback from those who said no to Rotary, and then my passion for innovation.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's great, Andy. Danielle, I mentioned at the beginning that you were involved in chartering the first LGBTQ club in San Francisco. I'm interested, what were your reasons for starting that club?
Thank you. So in our district at the time, I was their district extension chair, which is now called the club development chair. And during that time, we did an assessment throughout our district. So we looked at all of the different communities in our district and were looking to see where we did not have Rotary clubs. We looked at the days of the week, the timing of the clubs that we had in place. And we were trying to identify areas of opportunity for us to serve other areas of communities. So in San Francisco, we have different neighborhoods, districts, and one of the areas that we do not have a club was in the Castro area of San Francisco. And the Castro area itself is predominantly LGBTQ community, businesses and residents as well. And so we found that this could be an option. And so we went into the community. We met with community leaders. We met with Rotarians who were in other clubs that lived in the Castro or worked in that area, and talked to them about whether it would be a good fit for Rotary to serve in that community. And it was definitely met with so much enthusiasm. And yes, we could absolutely serve in that community. And so we created a club, and without realizing that this club was the first LGBTQ focused club. And also from that, we've been able to serve that community, but other clubs that have been LGBTQ focused have been created in other areas of the world. There is now a fellowship that's been created through Rotary International. And the reasoning for us is more of that it was the community that we wanted to serve. I think that it was extremely necessary in our community because it was one that we were not serving. The other piece to this is the club itself. When we first created the club, we wanted them to define how they were going to meet. And we did not want them to think that they had to make it a traditional model. And so whether they wanted to be online and in person. So we let the club decide through their leadership what they wanted to do. And that was how we came to creating the club.
Wonderful. That's great. And I am going to come to you, Oli. I mean, India is different. You still have a growing membership base in India. You know, what are the primary reasons there for starting new clubs and new types of clubs?
First, let me thank you, Jessie, for this wonderful opportunity sitting at one corner of the world, talking to people around the world. Truly, Rotary connects. Well, in India, we can say that Rotary is growing. We do see an increase in membership. In general, people are showing interest and also eagerness to join Rotary clubs. The growth is happening in traditional clubs. But you see, there is also a flip side to this. I mean, traditional clubs face few perennial challenges. One major challenge is attendance. And because attendance is poor, there is less engagement of members with the club. When members are less engaged with the club, comes retention issues. Members also leave clubs in numbers that does not give us healthy retention percentages. In large cities, Attendance has been an issue for more than one reason. Commuting from workplace or home to place where club meetings happen is a real problem. Cities are widely populated, so traveling to meetings takes a lot of evening time. Secondly, work culture all over is changing. Long work hours, working day stretches beyond the usual 9 to 5, makes it difficult for a member to attend meetings. I believe to overcome attendance and other challenges, we encourage new type of clubs. Having new type of clubs is a great idea in India. We have satellite clubs, then of course e-clubs. These are catching on in India.
Right.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
That's terrific. So there's a range of reasons there. So let's turn the discussion now from the reasons for forming new types of clubs to the types of clubs themselves. I guess we can see probably 8 different types of clubs that are emerging. You know, we're generally familiar with our traditional club. It's been at the heart of our Rotary experience since we started. We're also familiar with Rotary clubs, and it's been great to see them elevated to the status of partner. And similarly, I think we're getting more familiar with e-club arrangements, and this current pandemic is certainly giving us all an unexpected opportunity to experience an e-club membership experience. But some of the other the club types that are mentioned on that list may not be as familiar to you. And so we just might spend a moment on those. I guess the best way to think about satellite clubs is as a club within a club. You know, they're sponsored, supported by a larger club, but they can generally start as a smaller group. You know, they'll have, the satellite club will have its own meetings, projects, bylaws and board. The satellite clubs may spin out and become a club in their own right, or they may stay within the preserve of the traditional club. Passport clubs are really just like their name suggests. You know, passport clubs are clubs that allow their members to participate in the meetings and service projects of other clubs, as long as they attend a specified number of meetings of the host club during the year. Passport clubs provide lots of opportunity for flexible meeting arrangements and operations. We're also seeing corporate clubs, where the majority of members, or indeed all members, are employed by the same company or organisation. Similarly, we're seeing the rise of cause-based clubs. So clubs where the members, you know, focus their service and their fundraising around particular causes. You know, and those clubs are particularly attractive to members who are very focused on that cause. And I guess we're also seeing alumni-based clubs where the members of the club are alumni of programs of Rotary International or the Rotary Foundation. So there's a range of club models that we're seeing. I think what's really important to remember is that there are no hard and fast rules around, you know, these club types. You know, and Rotary International isn't going to prescribe what they need to look like. You know, it's up to clubs and districts to design the club models in ways that meet prospective and existing member needs. So again, to hear a little bit more about the club models that are emerging, I'm going to turn to our panellists. So Danielle, what are the types of club models, new club models that are emerging in the USA?
So one that we are seeing actually is more so because of this pandemic are hybrid clubs. And so clubs that have had to turn to online platforms during this time and so are emerging with the question of whether they will maintain as an in-person club or maybe become a hybrid of that. So maybe have meetings that are online and also in person, or a combined, as in you could have some of your members who are joining you virtually at the same time as the meeting. So that is one area that we are seeing a rise in clubs. Also, the cause-based clubs are definitely something that are coming to fruition. A couple examples, there was a club that literally just chartered that is an Ending Human Trafficking club. It is actually an e-club, and it's in District 5950, and just chartered within the last week, I think, actually, which is great. So it's also a hybrid. It's cause-based, but also an online platform. Another club that had chartered is the Minnesota Veterans Club. So this is a club that serves activity for veterans, and the majority of their members are also veterans. So that's another example of a cause-based club that we have had. Alumni-based are something else that we are seeing more of. So clubs that are, as you said, they are alumni from different areas of Rotary. So one specific that was highlighted in the Rotarian as well is the New Voices Rotary Club, which is a RILA-based club. Their members were all graduates of RILA. And then we are also seeing more corporate clubs, which have become a little bit more popular, where you have professionals who are not able to leave the workplace to travel to a club. And so for them to be able to engage in this process within their company and have a club there as well is something that is becoming more popular. And I think that beyond actually all of those, Passport, and I know that we will talk more about that, that is also more popular, but we have this opportunity now with more online platforms and with these hybrid clubs that I think we will see even more clubs who have been somewhat traditional in their format, maybe changing and adapting to different formats.
I expect that that's probably inevitable. You mentioned Passport Club, so I'm going to flick to Andy. Andy, every Passport Club I hear about is different. What is the Gold Coast Passport Club like?
Well, it's another type of a Rotary Club. I mean, Passport Club members pay RI dues, they pay district dues. But the difference is, like Oli said, attendance is very flexible. The attendance is more flexible and is more affordable. So the Gold Coast Passport Rotary Club that I formed last year, it has 28 members now, and 24 of them are under 35, men and women. Now they meet, the Gold Coast Passport Rotary Club meets only once a month to a wine and cheese networking. And that's what you can see in the slide. And you really see it's a wine and cheese, very friendly, very easygoing club. Their whole idea is to come to connect with people. And they only pay $10 for the wine and cheese once a month. So that's very affordable. And they are Rotary dues, they pay monthly $30 a month instead of paying $300 a year. And they pay it by credit card or debit card using a Square reader. And that becomes more convenient for them. And the concept of the Passport Club is actually to promote collaboration. So the Passport Club members can collaborate with other Rotary clubs in the area, help the other Rotary clubs. And it's more like a feeder club. It's not a threat to the existing clubs. Now, during the month, the Gold Coast Passport Rotary Club members, what they do, some of the members get together and they join the other Rotary clubs in Gold Coast. We have 20 other Rotary clubs in their projects. There are another group of members in the club. Once a month, they would go to a local cafe and have breakfast and chat with the owners and the staff and support the local economy. Another set of members in the club will go join a local charity, which is not a Rotary charity, an independent charity, which is of their choice, and support one of their projects. The whole concept is to get engagement. It's more engagement rather than coming for meetings. Now, the Gold Coast Passport Rotary Club have got a very smart app called the Trello. With the Trello app, each member records what they do, their engagement and their service. So everyone knows what each one does. Now, one requirement of a Passport Rotary Club member is to give 30 hours a year towards community service. That's not too much to ask. Now, last year, I know some of the members of the Gold Coast Passport Rotary Club went to Indonesia. You may see in the next slide that they supported their native laptops and books and things like that, and supported a children's school in Bali. But at the same time, some of the members got involved in another Rotary Club on a ramble, going around the Gold Coast city with clues, looking for the history of the city, and that's fancy dress kind of thing. Some of the members last year went to Croatia and met up with Rotarians in Croatia. And Croatia, the Passport Club in Croatia was the first passport club in Europe. Then some members went to India last year, and they connected with Rotary clubs. Now, just last week I heard from the president of the Gold Coast Passport Rotary Club, Candice Olivier. She said that they have become the international partner to support a Rotary Foundation global grant for a Rotary Club in Goa in India. So this is what Passport Club members do. They are roaming around. They get the facility to go around. So it is that flexibility, the enthusiasm, the dynamism, and the affordability of a Passport Club that attracts a younger demographic, especially the millennials. Now, it was only last January that I was having a chat with my regional membership officer, Barbara Mipsud from Sydney. And I said, I want to start a new type of a club, Barbara. What's your idea? She's the one who gave me the idea of a passport club. She said, Andy, what about a passport club? And it was a learning curve. But today, Rotary International has got a guideline, a guide paper done on what a passport club, and including bylaws. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And if any one of you who is listening or watching, you want to start a passport club, just go to rotary.org and look for the document passport club. Or Google passport club.
Thanks, Andy. And you've given me the perfect segue to talk India with Oli. Oli, you've been involved in sort of satellite clubs. What do you think are the benefits of satellite clubs in India?
Yeah, Jessie, it is set to pick up in India. This is little to add more than what you said about satellite club earlier. Well, a satellite club, as we know, is a short-term transitional club, a club before it blossoms into full-fledged Rotary club. By rule, those satellite clubs are governed by sponsored clubs, but still the satellite clubs enjoy their autonomy in many ways. They can have their own meeting place, meeting timings, club dues, and many other things. These are distinctive features of satellite clubs. I consider make it beneficial for younger generations of Indian population. As you know that it's a fast growing professional population in India, and these young people desire to be socially relevant. Even though they have very busy work life, and I think for being socially relevant, these young professionals understand that a one-man army doesn't work. These youngsters show great interest to join social forums. They know that through social forums, they can make a difference. By their actions, they can make effective difference in the community to work together on a common social platform. For all that, Rotary is more relevant to these youngsters. It offers logistics and methods, which I believe is more suited for the kind of functioning. Also, these young professionals obviously take pride in being part of an international organization like Rotary. As I said earlier, we have to accept that traditional clubs pose challenges for some, like the venue and timings of meetings, about which I said earlier. Because most traditional clubs meet inside the city, traveling and parking is a huge challenge. Also, for few others, cost of being a member in traditional clubs may be expensive. Though the law says that the dues, Rotary International dues for both the traditional and satellite clubs are same, yet the satellite clubs can have their own dues, for the meeting place and the food and other things. So this can make it a bit inexpensive for a member of a satellite clubs. So satellite clubs provide opportunity for these young professionals to be part of one Rotary, and second, be part of a big and senior club. These members of satellite clubs meet in ways that better suit their needs. So they get that greater autonomy. I think this is going to be a great benefit for young professionals of India. Thank you, Jessie.
Thanks, Oli. That's great. So we've talked about why start new types, and we've talked about the new types. Let's just spend a little bit of time talking about the formation process. And I'm not going to go through all of the stages that are identified on these next two slides. You can read more about them by downloading the Rotary International publication Starting a Rotary Club from the RI website. But I do just want to pick up on a number of sort of considerations, things to remember as you move through the process of starting new types of clubs. I guess firstly, when you're researching your opportunity, don't limit yourself to thinking about the traditional club model alone. Consider new ways of organising clubs. Ask prospective members what club experience they would like to have. Secondly, as you're getting organised, make sure you've got stakeholder support from all the important people, particularly your district governor, and make sure your champion, the person starting up the new club, is energetic and enthusiastic. In terms of communications and communications plans, make sure you tailor your communication to suit the various audience segments that you have, and use a mix of communication medium. So new media as well as traditional media. And I guess when you hold your informational meetings and when you recruit charter members, just recognise that it will take time. Be persistent and don't get despondent if it feels at times like it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And as you're getting organised, listen to your prospective members, and take on board their suggestions for club experience. Make sure it's a very member-centric club. In terms of submitting your new club application, get the paperwork right. The easiest way to do that is to go to your Rotary International staff at your regional Rotary International office. And finally, when you get your new club ready to charter and chartered, please celebrate and publicise. It is a wonderful event, and continue to support your new club. They need that support. Now I'm going to turn again to the panellists for some questions. A bit mindful of the time. We do want to make sure there's time for questions at the end. But Danielle, I'm going to start with you. We've talked about the process there just quickly. Where do you think are the most important parts of the process?
I think you did speak to some of the most important parts. I think that an assessment of your area, your community, to see where you do have opportunity, maybe look at what types of clubs you have, and is there an area there that you could supplement with something different. Also, deciding on a champion or having somebody who is a champion, and like you said, key stakeholders for that as well. Without those, it's hard to get the club chartered and to continue. And I actually think that the final piece to this is, after you get to the chartering process and you've celebrated, what is your plan for after? And how are you going to continue to support those clubs once they have chartered and for the first 2 years that they are there? Many clubs that we are chartering in this new territory of different types of clubs need support. And I think it can be a challenge for them to navigate in this new world of clubs. And so it's very beneficial for them to have that support.
Mm-hmm. We've touched on the key considerations. I haven't particularly touched on the obstacles. I presume you faced some obstacles as you've started new clubs. How have you addressed them?
So I think one challenge that people may have is that they are used to the traditional model. And so looking at clubs that are not traditional is a little bit of a stretch for some people, because they are used to clubs being, meeting around meals at certain times. And so having these different, online platforms or hybrids, or meeting at different times, or maybe not having meetings every week, can be different for people, and to wrap their head around that process. And we did initially see that when we first started creating some of these clubs in our district. And I think what helps in that is bringing people involved in the process, so they understand that this is what the members are asking for, listening to those members that are creating these clubs, and identifying how they are able to serve. And if as a group they are saying, we need to meet online, we really care about, say, ending trafficking, or they really care about these different communities, and honoring that. So maybe instead, when you are creating this club, not going in with that thought of, well, it has to be like this, and instead listening to what they want to do and just being flexible is key.
Thank you. That's great. Andy, I think we'd all like more Rotarians under 40. I'm intrigued. What was the pitch that you used to make Rotary attractive to them?
Jessie, that's a wonderful question. For an international marketer like me, I love that. Pitch is what we live on. My pitch is the word passport. Every now and then I get invited to speak at the chambers of commerce or local networking groups on Rotary. And one of the first questions I start with is, how would you like to have a passport to visit 36,000 cities in 200 countries, to meet new people and enhance your network? Everybody in Australia want to network. And there are 1,800 networking organizations in the country here in Australia. But everyone is not credible, but Rotary is very credible. But when I ask that question, they just open up, the eyes pop up, and I quickly come up with a solution. And I say, if you are a member of a Rotary Club, you could visit all these cities and countries like how I do, and make new friends and new contacts. And I seal it by saying, do you know that there are more Rotary clubs in the world than McDonald's outlets? So it's easy to find a Rotary club. And they say, no, we never knew that. And that's a good pitch to connect, because people open their eyes and say, oh, you got more Rotary clubs than McDonald's outlets, then you must be very big. And then I quickly have to close the sale, and I say, would you like to check out a Rotary club closer to you? 90% of the time they say, yes, that looks a good plan. And then I tell them, what's the best email that I can send you an invite? That's when you close the sale. So, pictures are very good, but we have to be very short and like a story that they like to hear, not what I want to say. Now, this is a pitch we did. You see the slide of a one-page advertisement in a popular budget airline in Australia called Jetstar. It was last September. I don't know whether we can do it this September, but this was last September. And if you see, this pitch was pitching at the under 35 group. And we spoke about 7 things you did not know about Rotary. Bigger than McDonald's, more places than McDonald's. It was traveling, meeting friends. And we pitched it with 3 of our youngest Rotarians in the district 9640. They're all under 30. They're talking about their travel and how Rotary connects them. So this is the pitch that I have: to meet people, go across the world, and the network, how we can connect people. And that's what they would like to see. And let's make every pitch a little story that people like to hear.
That's great. That's great. So
Thank
appropriate
you
for this year's theme, Andy. I said at the outset that we could only do so much in the time that we have together. And so I think the important thing is to be able to share with you some of the resources that are available to all of you as you start to think about creating new types of clubs. And there are a host of resources. Rotary International produces a range of different resources in different formats. There are publications that you can download from the RI website. Starting a Rotary Club is a terrific document that will give you good advice. There's a series of guides too, guides to passport clubs, guides to satellite clubs that are also there and downloadable. And also downloadable the Club Models Matrix, which just gives you a little bit more information about the 8 models that we've talked about earlier today. There are learning modules in the Learning Centre that you can use. There are also specific pages on the Rotary International website, and I've included there the flexible options for clubs page. And again, links to a host of resources that you can use. There are also digital resources that you can get from the Rotary International website. I've included their Rotary Leader and Rotary Voices, and of course we can now add the Anytown video. That's just a nice little snapshot that you can use in your club. But there's also any number of people who will help you. Your district leaders, we've mentioned the governor, but you've got assistant governors, new club development chairs as well. There are the zone coordinators, the Rotary coordinators in particular. You have new club development specialists, and also the Rotary International personnel in your regional club and district support teams. So there are plenty of resources available to help you. It's a wonderful time to be doing this. Don't hesitate to reach out. Now I'm going to go back to the panelists again, and I guess just quickly, Oli, where do you think, when you think about the formation process, where do you think support is needed most?
Yes, Jessie, if you ask me, I'll say in one word: training. Even in these days of lockdown, we see that Rotary is effectively working the area of training. Well, continuous training is the hallmark of Rotary. Educating club leaders and membership team on different club types is very, very important. Membership team should be fully aware of benefits of forming new clubs. I believe that for this training to be effective, district membership team should be first geared up. Also, Rotary coordinators and assistant Rotary coordinators can play a pivotal role in training district membership team along with the incoming district governors. More importantly, the district team should be allowed to set their own goal for the year. The goals of the club on membership should be in line with the district goals on membership. Of course, as you mentioned very clearly, there are plenty of resources available in Rotary.org, and there are also sections of frequently asked questions. It is just that members should be encouraged to make use of the vast information available through these sources. I think this would be more relevant. Thank you.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you, Oli. And Danielle, I mean, you've been a new club development chair. What support do you think the district management, the district membership chair, the new club development chair can provide?
I think they can provide support not only with the formation of clubs and finding new areas that you can grow in your district, but also in post-chartering. So after the club is chartered, and making sure that that club is supported fully within the district, and whether that means the district is the cheerleader with that club or whether that means they're helping the sponsor club, depending on how the club is chartered, but they are able to help support and maintain, so that way they are a sustainable club.
That's great. That's great. Now, I do want to get to a couple of questions before we finish, but I'm going to come straight back to you, panelists, and just ask you, reflecting on new club types, the process of formation, resources and support, what do you think are the key success factors? And Andy, I might start with you.
Thank you, Jessie. Very briefly, one of the key success factors of our district growing, being the fastest growing district in Australia, is that we have formed all these different new types of clubs. We have e-clubs, we have satellite clubs, we have alumni clubs, we have passport clubs, and in my year as district governor in the coming year, I'm going to start corporate clubs. So these new format clubs have helped us to grow Rotary, and that's why we are growing, but we're also retaining. But another success factor is that whenever I formed a new club, I didn't join the club. I'm still in my Burleigh Hills club, but I always found a community champion to lead that club and bring in the people who would like to join a Rotary club. So that it's the community champions network that we would use rather than me trying to call my friends and ask them to join a club. And I think that is what is important. The success factor is that we have a community champion. Lastly, is that I think we should all give it a try to start a new format club, because I believe, you always laugh at this, Jessie, I always believe it's easier to build a new house than renovate an old house. And let's give it a go, because the worst is we will fail, but it's okay to fail. Thank you.
That's wonderful. That's great. Danielle, is there anything you'd add to that?
I would add, as he said, the champion and also looking outside of the different clubs, and then also the post-chartering phase. I think that that is extremely important for clubs to make sure that they are supported and able to get off the ground. I think that Andy said it excellent.
Oh, well done. And Oli, any last success factors from you, just very quickly?
Yes, in the changing times today, it was unlike 2 or 3 decades back where members used to wait. We waited and joined in Rotary. Today, these things cannot be expected of. And also, members are all coming in today in large numbers, especially in India. So now the clubs, in order to have their engagement and the retention, should explore the ways. There are plenty of new types, as we discussed here. There are already e-clubs are there in our part of the world, and Rotaract clubs becoming Rotary clubs, alumni becoming Rotary clubs, and also other organizations like roundtablers, past roundtablers becoming Rotarians. All these things are there. So the clubs and districts have to explore all these types, and they should offer to the new generation. And I think that would ensure membership retention.
Thank you. That's great. Well, thank you, panellists. Now, we do have some questions. We're not going to get to them all. We've got homework. We'll have to do that afterwards. But let's tackle a number of them. Danielle, I'm going to direct this one to you. I mean, we've talked about new club types, but there's a number of questions around, is it also appropriate to try and change existing clubs?
So what I would say is I would survey your members and to find out if your members are thinking that they want to reformat and try something different. If you find that 75% of your club members are no longer able to meet at, say, breakfast time or whichever time the club meets, and you find out that, oh, maybe they would be able to do an evening meeting, or maybe they might want to change a meeting to a weekend, then I would try a pilot. Just as Andy had mentioned, it is worth looking at what has changed in your club. Clubs evolve and they change and grow, and as do your members. So your members may change from being in their careers to retiring. So maybe their time has changed, or vice versa. You could have a club of people who are in their career, so they need to reformat so that they are able to work at it within their job time. So I think asking your members specifically first if that is something they want to do, and try it. I know a number of clubs that have actually completely reformatted their club, and it has been successful for them.
That's wonderful. Andy, there's a question here about, is it possible to mix types? Can we have the hybrid of the sort of, the satellite club and the E-club together? What do you think?
Why not? I mean, you have to be innovative. Innovation is taking two existing things that are there and putting them in a different form. So yes, why not? We can have a satellite club and an E-club. Now in my district, we have we had a satellite club of an e-club. And that later became a club by itself, another e-club. So yes, an e-club can have a satellite club of the e-club.
Lovely. And I'll ask one more question. Thank you. I'll ask one more question, and we might see who wants to jump in on this one. Who are the best people to start clubs? Who can start clubs? Danielle, I'll go to you, and then I'll ask Oli.
Sure.
Who do you?
So, it's interesting because I think that if you have a person, any Rotarian that's in your district that has identified, it can be anybody, from somebody who's in a club that sees an opportunity. It could be somebody who is in the district membership committee or team. The majority of our clubs that we've had started in the last 7 or 8 years have come from a number of sources. It hasn't all been from one person. So I think it comes from any of the Rotarians that may be thinking they might want to start a club.
Thank you. Oli, would you add to that?
Yes, I agree with what she said, but in addition to that, the team is very important, be it at a club or the district. The membership team is very important. If somebody comes out with a proposal to the club, then the club membership team should explore the possibilities of starting a club, then they go to the district. So I feel that the club membership team plays a very vital role in forming a new club.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Now, I think time is really getting the better of us now. We're going to, as I said, do some homework. So we will come back to today's listeners with answers to your questions. Similarly, if you have other questions that you would like to ask us post this session, do feel free to contact us at membership.questions@rotary.org. Now, literally 1 minute between the three of you, I'm going to ask for just last tips or hints, words of advice, but it's got to be quick. So I'm going to start with you, Andy.
Wow. Give it a go. If you want to start a new club, just go start. I said the worst is you fail, and it's okay to fail.
Okay, that's great. Danielle?
Ditto what he said. Try it. If you have ideas and you want to try something, just try it and listen to your members and try something different. And he's absolutely right.
Thank you. And Oli?
Whether we like it or not, next 6 months, the traditional club's going to have a tough challenge. So now go for different types of clubs as much as possible. A lot of people are waiting to join.
Okay, so do it and do it now, by the sound of that.
Yes.
Just do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the opportunity now to say thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank the panellists, Andy, Danielle and Oli. Thank you very much for giving us your time today. It's been wonderful to share the benefits of your experience, and I appreciate it. I would like to thank the interpreters. You know, it's great to be able to do this in all the languages of Rotary, and we couldn't do it without you. Similarly, I'd like to thank the Rotary International staff who are sitting behind this, managing the questions, making sure the technology works, and making sure that we get back to you appropriately after the session. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you that have joined us for this session today. You know, thank you for everything that you will do to grow Rotary, to keep us strong, modern and responsive, you know, to make sure that Rotary is here for generations to come. So thank you, everybody. We wish you well and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Jessie.
you. Thanks, Jessie.
Okay, so we are just about at the end of our time together. Just a couple of things before we leave. I want to thank all of our presenters today for leading such an engaging session, and echo Jessie and thank all of you for attending. All of your questions and chats really made this session what it is. Make sure to visit riconvention.org to find more breakout session content, access recordings, and explore more of the virtual convention. You can also find the schedule for the July breakouts and continue to engage with Rotarians from around the world. Make sure that you take time to explore the virtual House of Friendship, where you can visit many booths and register for the 2021 Taipei Convention. There is a reduced promotion rate that is only available until 26 June. So make sure you take advantage of that. Now get your phones out. For those of you that are participating in our virtual convention walking challenge, you'll want to get your QR reader out and scan our QR code here. If you scan the QR code, you get your daily step boost using our challenge app. And if you haven't signed up for the walking challenge, you can still do so at riconvention.org. I'll leave this up for just another couple of seconds for those of you that are scanning. And that takes us to the end of the session. I want to thank you all and encourage you to enjoy the rest of the virtual convention. Take care.
Goodbye.
Thank you.